Okay, let's get right into it. We're doing a deep dive today into some source material that tells a really powerful and frankly quite tragic story. It's about a figure in India, Dr. Shirish Valsangkar.
That's right. And the sources, they really paint this picture of a man who, well, by every external measure they present, was just incredibly successful, a top neurosurgeon based in Solapur, Maharashtra.
Yeah, and not just, locally famous. The material we looked at highlights his reputation spreading right across India, even internationally. They actually call him the jewel of Solapur. Gives you a sense of how highly regarded he was.
Absolutely. And you can see why, looking at the background described in the sources, he had very impressive qualifications, your standard medical degrees,
Yeah.
MBBS, MD, but also that specialized training, the MRCP from London,
Right.
plus, major recognition. He received the Best Neurologist Award from the Chief Minister of Maharashtra himself.
Wow.
And apparently people would wait for months just to get an appointment.
Months. Imagine that level of demand. And the sources they seem to emphasize this wasn't just about pure medical skill, though obviously that was there. It was also about the status, the wealth.
Exactly. He's presented as this symbol of immense prestige. And they underline this with some, well, pretty vivid details. Apparently the only person in his entire district with his own chartered plane.
A chartered plane.
Yeah, even used a private helicopter sometimes, the sources say, to fly to other states for treatments.
Quite something.
And his family, too, seemed very settled. His son, daughter-in-law, also neurologists, following right in his path. The material says he was physically fit, had the wealth, the status. It really sounds like he had, well, everything.
And yet, and this is the core puzzle the material puts right in front of you, isn't it? Despite all this apparent success, this fulfillment, Dr. Valsangkar committed suicide, shot himself in his own home. He eventually died in the very hospital where he'd, saved so many lives himself. How did the sources handle that stark contrast?
Well, that's the central question, really, that the source material tackles head on. It forces us, and you listening, to ask, how could someone who achieves so much, who seem to have every single marker of success we value, how could they reach such a tragic end?
So our goal here is to unpack that, to understand the message the sources want us to take away.
Precisely. What's the lesson here, according to this material?
So what do they conclude? What is the core takeaway they're pushing?
They're quite explicit about it, actually. The argument presented is that while things like, position, money, prestige, they're shown as important in life, sure, but this story is used to illustrate they are not everything.
Okay, not everything.
And crucially, the sources state they are not tools to give peace.
That's a really interesting distinction the sources are making there. External success versus, I guess, internal peace.
Exactly.
So where does the material suggest we should be looking, if not just at that external stuff? What's truly essential according to them?
And this is where the message about relationships really comes through strongly. The sources argue that if you don't have a friend, someone whose shoulder you can cry on, someone you can tell your troubles to, without any hesitation, then according to this material, even if you have all the wealth and status in the world, you are, quote, the poorest person in the world.
Wow. That's a powerful statement, poorest person.
It really hits hard.
And they connect this directly back to us, the listeners, right? There's a kind of warning drawn from Dr. Valsankar's story.
Yes, very much so. The sources caution against sacrificing these vital human connections in what they call the race to gain position, money, or prestige.
So the pursuit itself might be the problem sometimes.
That's the suggestion from the sources, yeah.
Yeah.
That maybe chasing those external markers so intensely can paradoxically lead us to neglect or even lose the very things, the connections, the support that actually bring true peace.
So reflecting on this story, as presented in the source material and its very clear message, it leaves you with some fundamental questions to think about. What does it really mean to be wealthy? Or, maybe more importantly, what does it mean to have peace in your life? And is that intense focus on external success, the kind Dr. Valsangkar seemed to have, sometimes at odds with those deeper needs for connection that the sources say truly matter, definitely something to mull over.